right. So, hi there. Welcome in. Before I do your intro, nice to see you. How's it going down there?
Hi, everything's great. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm so excited to get to host this. This is so much fun. So let's dive in. I mean, we are here today. I mean, we are here in general over the 3 days of the weekend, Friday through Sunday, for our first ever Global Biodiversity Festival. We've never done anything like this before. To my knowledge, no one's ever done anything like this before. We have been featuring conservation stories from around the globe, from the Antarctic seafloor to East Africa, Australia, Madagascar, all sorts of amazing places across our globe. We've been having over 80 countries people have tuned in from over the last day and a half, which is mind-blowing. Tunisia, Israel, the UK, Australia, so many incredible places, sharing pictures with the Backyard Bio hashtag. So you've been loving having pictures of some of the amazing wildlife that you guys share your homes with. We look forward to more of that. But the reason we're here this weekend, not only to highlight just incredible conservation on the ground happening around the world, but to give back. So it's free to watch. We've had 10,000 viewers in the last 3 days tune in for all these conservation stories, but we are using this as an effort to raise money and encourage donations to some of the coolest conservation organizations we work with. Again, with the number of viewers we had, if everyone gave $1 that has tuned in the last day and a half, our fundraiser would be met. We could do a great deal of good to give back to some great organizations. So one of them is with us right now. We are joined live in Costa Rica at the Toucan Rescue Ranch. So for over 15 years, they have been rescuing, rehabilitating, and re-releasing injured wildlife. Costa Rica is one of the gems of the natural world. And so whether it's sloths, toucans, amazing other birds, and more, I'm so excited to turn it over to the team there to explore a little bit about what they do and why it's so important. So thanks so much for joining us today, and take us away.
Thank you for inviting us. So, hello, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us in this Global Biodiversity Festival. My name is Maria. I'm a biologist here in Costa Rica, and today we're going to discover the Toucan Rescue Ranch. So, yeah, and what better way to discover this place than by going to the place where everything starts? So, I'm just going to switch the camera, and I'm going to walk towards the clinic. Now, we are going to the clinic because this is the place where when animals arrive, we first admit them into the clinic. So this is the first place where they get into. So over here, we're getting into the clinic. Here we have Santiago. He's one of the veterinary students that help us here. And here in the clinic, we can make so many amazing things. We can do, well, first of all, we do preliminary checkups as soon as the animal comes here. We can also do treatments, rehabilitation, and even small surgeries. Also, because of this is the first place that animals see when they come into the ranch, here is where we have animals doing their quarantine. Now, you may notice that we do have a lot of parrots here. This is because parrots is the wild animal that is most commonly kept as a pet here in Costa Rica. That is because they are incredibly smart. They can learn how to say human words, they can imitate sounds, they can understand numbers. They are incredibly intelligent, and people use that intelligence to teach them how to speak. So that is also why we have so many of them, and they are doing their quarantine. We are just checking their nutritional levels and if they have parasites or anything like that. We also have here a scarlet macaw. So this is also one of our newest arrivals. In Costa Rica, we have two species of macaws. We have the great green macaw and the scarlet macaw. And this one is actually the largest we have in here. Now, this little body arrived here with a broken wing. So right now, he's just recovering from her fracture, and hopefully very soon is going to be recovered from that. So we might be able to move her to another larger enclosure and think about releasing her. So sometimes the animals that arrive here are just here for minor injuries, or maybe they were just confiscated and they don't have any injuries. So we can release them very soon, even less than 24 hours. However, if an animal has a more serious injury and we have to do a longer treatment, we need to keep them longer here at the clinic, and we also need to keep them at the rehabilitation area. So what I'm going to do now is take you to the rehabilitation area of the property. So we can take a look to the animals that are recovering. So as you can see, today is a very sunny day here in Costa Rica. And here we have the sign of the rehabilitation area. And here is a lovely picture of Oatmeal. She's one of the stars here at the Toucan Rescue Ranch. So here at the rehab area, we put animals when they need to recover from their injuries, but also we place animals that need to have a closer medical attention. So for example, over here, we have Loki, which is just sleeping at the moment. Loki is a northern tamandua, and actually he arrived here because he was hit by a car. And because of that accident, his leg broke into three pieces. He had two fractures. Fortunately, thanks to the donation of many amazing people everywhere around the world, we were able to pay the surgery, and now he's just recovering here. He's a very strong tamandua, so hopefully soon he will be released back into the wild. Also, we have some of our baby sloths here. Here we have Sarah and Tori. They are some volunteers that help us with the rehabilitation of sloths. And actually, right now we have Oatmeal, our little star. Oatmeal is a two-fingered baby sloth. She arrived here because she got electrocuted by a power line. Uh, that was because her mom was just climbing branches, and then the branch stopped and continued by a power line. So sloths do this a lot. They confuse the power lines for branches and they get electrocuted. Now, honestly, we are surprised about how good Oatmeal has been doing. At first, we were not sure if she was going to make it because her injuries were so serious. We had to do some orthopedic surgery to her. We were also doing treatments and anti-inflammatories, antibiotics, almost everything. But now she's off her bandages and doing great. So we really hope that in almost maybe less than a year, Oatmeal is going to be back into the forest. We also have, well, in this structure, we take our sloths to do rehabilitation. And we also have some other sloths over here. For example, here we have Luna. Luna is our three-finger sloth. She arrived here because she got hit by a car. And unfortunately, again, her mom didn't make it. But Luna is also a very strong girl and she's recovering very fast. Soon she's going to be back into the forest again. Also, here at the ranch, we have some animals that we cannot release because either they have some very serious injuries or because they were pets for too long. But if they need to have closer medical attention, what we do is that we keep them in this area, the rehabilitation area. For example, here we have the spectacle owl. This owl is called Stevie Wonder, actually, and we keep him here because he is fully blind. So we need to place the food very close to him so he can find it. Spectacle owls are actually the largest owl we have in Costa Rica, and they are even like the largest owls you're going to find in the tropics. Now, Stevie Wonder, because he can't find his food if we put him in a larger enclosure, needs to stay here because we need to give him food every day and place it very close to him. For the other animals that we need to keep here because we can't release them, we actually have a special section of the property, which is the sanctuary side. And right now, I'm just going to walk you towards there. So from here, from very far away, you can all see the otters enclosure. It's a very large enclosure that we were able to to construct also, again, with the donation of amazing people. And here we have Emma. So Emma is a neotropical river otter. River otters are actually nearly threatened because they need to be near rivers, and lakes to survive. And because of the fact that rivers and lakes are disappearing almost everywhere around the world, or they are getting polluted, river otters are also disappearing. Now, Emma arrived here when she was just a baby because she was with her mom in the river, and some kids started to throw stones at her. Now, because of this, her mom got so scared that she just ran away and she forgot about Emma. And well, fortunately, there was a mom there. She was one of the mom of this. She was the mom of one of the children, and she managed to grab Emma and try to reconnect her with her mom. Unfortunately, her mom didn't want to take Emma back. She just kept running away, and that's why the mom grabbed Emma and gave it to the Ministry of Environment and Energy here in Costa Rica, which is the organism that is in charge of rescuing animals. And they were the ones who brought Emma to us. Now, Emma is from the mustelid family, and all of that family actually they have a very particular characteristic. They get imprinted very easily. So Emma, when she was a baby, she had to be taken care by us. We had to feed her and give her water so she can learn how to swim. So now she has become habituated to humans and she recognizes people as objects of trust. As you can see, she's very curious about where I am and she all the time she wants to play. So that is one of the reasons why we can't release Emma. Because if we release her to the forest, she's just going to go searching for people so she can play with them. And that might put her in danger of becoming captured by poachers and becoming a pet. So that is one of the reasons why we need to keep her here. The other reason is actually because since she was separated from her mom from a very young age, she never learned how to hunt. So also, if we release her, she's just going to starve because she doesn't know how to hunt her own food. However, I really think that Emma is very happy in this enclosure. She has her own pool, her own garden. She has an amazing enclosure, and she is very happy in here. So, if we need to keep an animal, the first thing that we do is that we need to make sure that we have all the necessary conditions to ensure that the animal is going to have a happy and healthy life in here. And the second thing that we try to do is to use their stories to educate people about conservation and what they can do to protect that particular species. So, just to take you to the animal where all of these rescue centers started, I mean, it's the Toucan Rescue Ranch, so we just can't leave without taking a look to some of our toucans. Over here, we have the keel-billed toucan or rainbow-billed toucan, how we call them in Spanish. And these toucans are actually, well, very colorful as you can see. Most of the toucans that we receive here are here because they used to be pets. And here in Costa Rica, it is illegal to have any wild animal as a pet. Oh, sorry, I thought I'm losing you.
Nope, we're all good. Maria, keep going.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought there was some internet problem. That's great. Okay, yeah. So as I was telling you, here in Costa Rica, it is illegal to have any wild animal as a pet. So these were all confiscated from the illegal pet ownership, and they were brought here. Now, unfortunately, after a couple of years of being pets, the Ministry of Environment and Energy doesn't allow to release the birds. So that's why we need to keep them here because they say that they are already domesticated and that they don't know how to find food in the wild. However, these guys over here, they are already making a huge impact in conservation because when we accept people here and they take our educational walks and people get the chance to see the animals from a closer look, learn about the stories, learn about what they can do to protect them, it's like sometimes an eye opener for people and they start to become more interested about these conservation issues. For example, like the loss of habitat for the otters or the illegal pet trade of toucans. And when they pay more attention to these issues, you can also prevent them more in the wild. So they are having an amazing impact in conservation. They're quite playful today. And if you can see, they're just playing between the branches. Actually, toucans are a bird that doesn't like to fly very much. They prefer to hop between the branches. And that is also one characteristic that makes them so easy to catch by poachers. Also, poachers sometimes just steal the nest and they get the baby toucans to raise them. Here he is. He's quite playful today, and it's quite sunny. So yeah, I would say that in our educational walks, children are actually the ones that learn the best about these kind of animals, and they become some sort of conservation warriors for the future. Oh, I was just seeing Dukan taking the sun. So we can also, I don't know if we have time, take a little bit of a look to some of the monkeys that we have here. Over here in this part of the property, we have a lot of different animals, and the monkeys are definitely some of the animals that people like the most and get more of a feeling with them. So in this part, we have spider monkeys, which is one of the four species of monkeys that we have in Costa Rica. However, this one is the most in danger of all of them. Oh, and they all come from different circumstances of animal abuse, unfortunately. So definitely when people come here to visit us, we make sure to use their stories and teach them about conservation.
Outstanding. Maria, what a fun presentation. Is there more you wanted to show us, or do you want to dive in with some questions?
Well, if you have any questions, I'm just happy to take you.
Lovely. Well, we're not going to do a split screen view because we want to keep it on the incredible animals you have. Maria, I'm supposed to be unbiased. I've done so many programs this weekend, and this is by far my favorite. I've got to say, we've seen so many incredible animals, things we didn't even expect to see today, like the tamandua to begin us off. So very cool. We have people watching right now from the US, UK, Canada, Kosovo, Serbia, Ukraine, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, and Mexico. So all
Whoa.
over the world, students and adults and families are joining in on seeing the amazing animals you guys have at the Rescue Ranch and in Costa Rica in general. And I want to stress again, and I'll say this at the end as well, the Toucan Rescue Ranch is one of the organizations we are running this bio festival in support of. So if you want to donate on our website, globalbiofest.com, there's a GoFundMe page, there's PayPal, whatever works for you, or you can go to their website at toucanrescueranch.org. All right, with that said, Maria, what I'd like to ask on behalf of these families, kids from all around the world is, if I'm in Kosovo, if I'm in Norway right now, what can I do to help save Costa Rican wildlife? In addition to donate, is there anything that I can do at home right now to help protect wildlife?
Well, I think that just spreading the word about conservation, uh, talking more about these conservation organizations and everything, trying not to encourage uh, no, not to encourage activities like poaching, like selfies with wild animals, which are actually very bad for wildlife. And yes, just making sure to yeah, spread the word about this kind of issues is just very important.
Education is so huge, and this is something that comes up in every one of our programs. You know, when you finish this broadcast today, watch it, let it sink in, and share it with people around you. Highlight the work of groups like Toucan Rescue Ranch. Go and be inspired and learn about things that interest you, whatever those may be. That'll go a long way to doing a great deal of good. And I really like that you brought up that message. That's something that hasn't actually been talked about much, is to avoid selfies with animals. So animals are amazing. They're adorable. We're looking at some sloths right now, which are as cuddly as you can imagine. When you go travel internationally, avoid times and opportunities where you can hold an animal or stroke an animal. Quite often, this animal is being exploited. And so go to sanctuaries, go to places like the Toucan Rescue Ranch, and interact that way. You'll get a chance to see some amazing creatures and give back to organizations that are actually working to protect them. So I encourage you to do that. Maria, two kids in Canada, as they listed themselves on Slido, they want to know, what's the biggest animal you rescued and what's the smallest animal you've rescued?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think the largest animal that we've rescued is an ocelot, probably. And the smallest one, well, we keep receiving babies like baby birds, baby toucans, baby parrots, but also baby squirrels. And honestly, I think they're the smallest that I've seen so far.
There you go, kids in Canada. Great answer, guys. I encourage everyone when they're done this presentation to go look up an ocelot. If you've never seen an ocelot before, they're probably the most beautiful cat in the world. I'd certainly say so. So check that out. Maria, how did you get into this personally? I've been loving highlighting the stories of people that are so passionate about wildlife that they made it their careers. What happened that made you so excited to do this work?
Well, I think that's also an incredible question because last night I was thinking about how I got so passionate about conservation and nature, and I was just doing memory. And I remember that when I was a child, I actually took an educational walk around the forest, and the guide was so amazing. He was just teaching me about trees and how trees can walk and the different sounds that birds do. And I think that that kind of connection that I had with nature since a child inspired me to just continue knowing more about nature. And that's definitely how I started to fall in love with them, with wild animals and everything.
I love that there's this nature interaction at the beginning. And this is something that we've been highlighting all weekend long with hashtag backyard bio. So again, over 90 countries now that have tuned into our broadcast over the last day and a half. And from wherever you're joining from, share pictures of what you can find in your backyard or local park. We'd love to see the wildlife that shares home with you. And with hashtag backyard bio, we can compile all those and highlight some of the amazing biodiversity around the world, because it's that sort of local inspiration that leads to more global thoughts when it comes to conservation. All right, Maria, we're humming along here. How many animals have you guys saved or re-released at the Toucan Rescue Ranch since you opened?
I think it's about more than 100, like 150 animals.
Nice. Yeah. And so you started with toucans at the beginning, and you highlighted that was the first animal you brought on. When did you start welcoming in so much other wildlife from the community?
Yeah, actually, well, our goal was at first just focusing on toucans, but on 2007, we actually received our first baby sloth, Millie. And with her arrival, we also started to accept many other different animals as well. So I think that's about the time when we became a multi-species facility.
Amazing. Now, you talked a little earlier about the fact that people have brought wildlife in, highlighted wildlife issues to you. And community-based conservation has been the biggest theme of all of our presentations this weekend. So can you tell us a little bit about your interactions with the community, how well the people in the area know the work that you do and support your efforts? We'd love to hear about that. That'd be great.
Yeah, actually, we have an educational program in which we invite, for example, local schools or schools everywhere around the world to take our tours. And well, when we were open to the public, right now we are actually closed to the public. But when before all of this pandemic started, we invited local schools and they took the tour, and we did educational conservation with them. So it was very good.
Fantastic. I hope you get a chance to welcome some kids back again soon. This has been, again, something that we've highlighted in so many of our programs, is bringing local kids in to see the work that you do. Has led to internships, jobs, all sorts of fantastic stuff down the road. And I am really excited what you guys are doing. It's fantastic. I'm going to welcome in Paul Rose, who's been one of our hosts over the last few days, because Paul's been all over the world, and I'd love to see if he has a question for you guys or highlight his own experiences in Costa Rica, getting to share some of the incredible wildlife with us today. Paul, what do you think?
Well, it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, Costa Rica was a terrific expedition for us, very successful professionally and all that kind of stuff. But I tell you, until last year, I felt that I was the only one who'd never been there. Everybody I met had been to Costa Rica. They knew all about it. And for some reason, I was whizzing around the world on all these other expeditions. So I was so delighted to get there. I thought it was an amazing thing. So I've had 2 trips to Costa Rica now. The first one actually was into Costa Rica to get on our ship to Argo from Punta Arenas and then go into Colombian waters. But then luckily last year, I led our expedition off the Osa Peninsula.
Amazing. And we covered that.
Yeah, I thought everything about it it blew me away, Costa Rica.
It is. And Maria, you get to live in one of these most amazing places in the world. What is it like to just be surrounded by so much incredible wildlife? I mean, Costa Rica is one of the gems of planet Earth in terms of its conservation efforts and in terms of the species you have there. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like to be there?
It's definitely amazing. I mean, I love just to take a field trip to a national park and enjoy the wild animals there. I mean, of course, that's also because I'm a biologist and I just love to take very long hikes around nature and everything.
Of course.
But I really like the nature of this country.
Nice.
And Maria, we were there to lead the ocean side of the Osa Peninsula, and there was a lovely comment by your environment minister that he felt that so far Costa Rica has been looking inland at the green and is a world leading, terrestrial protected area, beautiful stuff. And it was time to turn the other way and look at the sea. And of course, that was our invitation to go. And I wonder if you've done much in your beautiful waters there.
I haven't developed that area very much, but I am sure that we have so much more biodiversity in the seas, and our protected areas in the seas are so much larger, so much bigger than the ones that we have in inland.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something very interesting that I would love to do in the future.
Good. Well, I hope you turn away from the green sometimes and turn into the blue. And when you do, let us know at Pristine Seas and we'll get you out there.
Yes.
See, you come in just to talk about the amazing work you're doing, and now you're invited on epic ocean expeditions. Like, see what happens in the Global Biodiversity Festival? It blows your mind.
Amazing.
Maria, before we dive in on our next presentation, highlighting some of those pristine seas that Paul's so excited about, I just wanted to thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you highlighting some of the amazing wildlife you have at the Toucan Rescue Ranch.
Oh, and thank you for inviting us in this Global Biodiversity Festival. It's been definitely amazing. I'm surprised about all the incredible talks that you've had during these only 2 days. It's just amazing what you'll be doing. And thank you very much for supporting us.
Well, thank you so much. And on that note, I want to highlight that before we go to our next speaker, again, for everyone tuning in from home, Kosovo, Norway, Serbia, all over the world, you can donate on our site, globalbiofest.com, either on PayPal or GoFundMe. Toucan Rescue Ranch is one of the 6 organizations we are using this festival to support in the time of COVID. So we want to give back to some really, really great work, a lot of which you saw today with some of their incredible species. And so again, thank you so much, Maria. And with that, I'll turn it over to Joe and Paul to dive in with our next speaker and keep the broadcast going.
Thanks,
Okay,
Maria. Thanks, Jesse.
thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, Maria. Great to see you.